Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm Angel, your host.
I'm Ashley, your co-host.
Have you ever felt just your hair stand on end? Have things go bump in the night that you can't explain? Having a feeling of just chills run up your spine and making your hair stand on end? It's the paranormal. Is there life after death? Well, according to quantum physics, specifically the many worlds theory, they suggest that death may just be simply an illusion or a transition of consciousness, if you will, rather than just a final end. But with so many people having personal experiences of ghosts or the paranormal, there may be something to these theories, and there may not be. However, we truly won't know until it is our time to be proven without a doubt. A couple of paranormal stories from Reddit. This one says, we were at home and my cousins and I were playing video games in the living room. Out of the corner of their eye, they saw movement. So they kind of turned to look, and they see a woman wearing a knee-length dress walking towards their parents' room. She stopped walking and turned to look in their direction. It scared them. They said she was transparent and she had dark hair and it was into like a bob cut. So they got to see a lot of details of this apparition.
And they've seen a full apparition.
Yes.
That's crazy.
They said she was slender. They turned away from her slightly because they were scared. And out of the corner of their eye, they could see that this woman was still watching them. They said it felt like forever, but it could have been mere seconds.
Yeah.
You know, when you're scared, everything feels like forever.
Yeah.
So they turned away, and the woman continued to walk to their parents' room. Their parents came home about an hour or so later, called them and their cousins into the room and asked who was in our room, because apparently all of the electronics in that room were unplugged. They told them nobody went in the room. They had no idea what had happened. They were kind of scared to tell their parents that they saw a woman walk into the room.
A little bit.
Yeah. So years later, they were going through some pictures with their mom, and they seen a picture of a woman. It was the exact woman that they saw walk into their parents' room. Now, they asked their mom, who is this woman? The mom told them, that's my mom. She died when you were just a year old.
Oh my God. So Grandma was coming back to visit.
Yeah. And see, in me, I would think, okay, not only is she coming back to visit, but you're unplugging everything. Is there something I need to be worried about?
Yeah.
Or maybe that was just a habit of people back in the day.
Back in the day, unplugging everything.
Yeah, unplugging everything, not wasting electricity.
My grandma used to do that, my great grandma.
Did she?
Yeah. If it wasn't being used, it was not plugged in. So. All right. So I got one that's based in Michigan at the Great Wolf Lodge in Traverse City. So it says, my family visited Great Wolf Lodge, Traverse City for spring break. We stayed 2 nights in the kids' cabin. The first night, I woke up at 5 a.m. due to a loud popping noise coming from the hall. I laid awake for a few minutes listening. It stopped, and I got up to use the bathroom. As I got near the door, I heard footsteps walking slowly on the other side of the door. I looked through the peephole and saw nothing, and the noise stopped. I shrugged it off and went to walk away, but the steps started again. I stood listening, then looked out again, and nothing. So I went to the bathroom and went back to bed. Next night, woke up again at 5 a.m. The closet door was on and too bright for me. I walked over to shut it off. As I flipped the switch, I looked over toward the room and saw a little girl, short dark hair, wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt, standing against the curtain looking at me. The lights went off and she disappeared. I hurried back to bed and tried hard not to think about it and went back to sleep. In the morning, I began Googling it and found that others have experienced similar things in the kid cabin rooms. This specific room was room 314.
That would be creepy.
Yeah. In like a water park?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are people who do spread their loved ones' ashes at Disney.
I mean, we like Disney in here? I mean, I guess if this little kid's ashes at their favorite water park, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
We like the Traverse City, so I was gonna Google more and look more. I did not get the chance to see any more experiences, but I think a couple people replied. Yeah, it wasn't anything else. All right, so that's mine.
Well, there's this other Reddit story. It says, my family and I returned home from our vacation, and it was late at night. We were unloading the car, and we were in different places. So, like, they were standing in different positions. It says, in our front yard. And I was on our porch, and my husband and our 2 children were in the process of getting bags from the car.
Okay.
Our dog started to bark. Like, again, dogs can bark at anything. It says, we all turned to look towards him in the direction that he was barking at. We all saw a shadow figure of what appeared to be a man in a hat.
Okay.
So they said that it kind of looked like a railroad conductor kind of vibe.
Okay.
But then again, it could have really been any kind of man in a hat.
Yeah. It depends on what decade it comes from, because back in the day they used to wear hats all the time, and gentlemen wore hats every day.
Right. And it says that he appeared to be walking from their front yard to their backyard. And everybody just looked at each other like, WTF.
They're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Everybody else see what I see?
Yes. Like, how freaky would that be?
So it must be the grounds. Their grounds must be haunted.
Something.
Because, I mean, your property can be haunted. That happens a lot. Okay, let me find another one real quick.
Well, I can tell you one personal experience that I had in this very place.
Okay.
In this very area that we're in right now. So I'm going to leave out some details, but it's just location. So when we first moved into this space is our little studio. However, I have a big enough space to be able to be lucky enough to do that. When we first moved in, I was a little leery because it's in a location that I said I would never ever move to when I was younger. Now, however, we did, and so it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I heard heavy footsteps up those very stairs. Mm-hmm. And they were heavy, like
boots,
like heavy boots. And I remember shaking my husband. Jason, wake up, you've got to wake up. I think someone broke into the house.
Yeah.
Because
first initial instinct.
Yeah, because it woke me out of my sleep, and I'm thinking, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? So,
like, honey, get up and do what you got to do.
So he and I both get up, like, oh heck nah.
Yeah.
Right? We're looking around the house. We heard more steps before we got to this space on those very stairs. So we're like, okay, we know where they're coming from now. We round the corner. Nothing. And there is nothing.
Nothing.
No one. We come down the stairs thinking, okay, now they were coming down the stairs and they're in one of the rooms in this space. We check every room. Nothing. No one. So we're like, okay, maybe it was just we were half asleep.
Yeah.
Passing it off to not scare ourselves. We go back to bed. We go to bed. We leave early in the morning to go grocery shopping. My daughter then proceeds to text me while we are grocery shopping. Are you guys home?
I remember her telling me this story.
And I was like, no, we're grocery shopping. Is everything okay? I think someone is in that space. I hear boots coming up those stairs. So with it being just my daughter and my son home at the time, my daughter goes to the fireplace like the little baddie she is, grabs a fireplace poker, grabs it like a baseball bat, and proceeds to come down those stairs ready to fight whoever, because she's like, you're not getting my baby brother.
Aww.
Yep. And she comes down those stairs and she checks every room like we did and found nothing.
I've had a similar experience. Mine was in my grandma's house, and it was after my great-grandma passed away. And it sounded like somebody, I was on the couch sleeping, and because I spent the night there all the time, it's my grandma's house. And it sounded like, because my great-grandma used to walk with a cane, so you would hear the cane go up on the stair, and then you hear a footstep. You hear the cane, and then you hear the footsteps. Like she was going upstairs.
Like her exact cadence.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, and I mean, before that, their cupboards would open, their drawers would open, like you would come in the kitchen and everything would be open.
Maybe it was your grandma
Maybe.
looking for something or making sure everything's in its rightful place.
She used to do the dishes all the time.
Oh. I don't want to touch it.
Got somebody here?
Who's here with us?
Is it somebody we know? Oh, now you don't want to play? Don't want to play no more?
So if you can see, here, I'm going to touch it so it is going to go off. Or not. We have a EMF and we have a spirit box running. Here's our spirit box, here's our EMF. Look at it.
Now if I put my phone over here, it'll go off because there's an EMF. But none of our phones were over here.
This is mine, and it's not.
No.
Whew.
Oh. Ooh, somebody wants to play?
Is it the one that was making the stomping sounds with the boots?
Oh.
In this space, are you the one with the boots?
Spooky.
Okay.
All right. If you are here, you can also use the spirit box to say some words. How spooky would that have been?
Her name's Ashley, if you want to say Ashley.
Say my name. Alright, nobody wants to play no more. Alright, you want me to read another Reddit story? One more?
Sure. Oh?
It says, I heard footsteps outside my door, but I was home alone. This happened in my final year of university when I moved into a new student house in West Yorkshire City in January. It was a small, old, terraced place about a 15-minute walk from campus, and I was living with a married couple. On the day I moved in, they casually mentioned that the house made some weird noises, mostly in the living room. They laughed it off as it was the vents. But the wife admits she hated being there alone. When she was, the way she said it stuck to me, like she didn't really believe her own explanation. For the first couple of months, nothing obvious happened, but the whole time I had this constant creepy feeling that I wasn't alone. Not fear exactly, just the wow, I'm blanking, sorry. Certainty that something was watching me. I kept trying to brush it off. I've lived alone before, even abroad, and I've never been the type to get spooked easily. But the very first night in this house, I struggled to sleep because of it, and the feeling never left. Then there was voices. I'd be woken up between 4 and 5 in the morning with what sounded like two people having a conversation. One voice, a man, was clearer, slightly louder than the other, but I could never make out any actual words. It always sounded just out of reach, like listening through a wall, which a lot of people have explained paranormal experiences like that.
Where it sounds muffled.
Yeah. At first, I assumed it was the housemates downstairs. I never questioned it until they left. They went away for 2 months for PhD research, and the voices did not stop. I remember the exact moment it clicked. I woke up, heard them again, and just laid there thinking, wait, they're not here. And as soon as that thought fully landed, both voices stopped instantly, like they knew I'd realized. That's creepy. After that, it wasn't every night anymore, just once or twice a week, almost like whatever it was being more careful. Exactly a week later, something happened that I cannot explain. It was a Saturday. I spent the day cleaning and went up to my room about 5 p.m. After a video call with my boyfriend, I lay down in the dark with a migraine, waiting for the painkillers to kick in. Then I hear footsteps, clear as anything, slow footsteps coming up the stairs toward my room. My bedroom was on the top floor. There was nothing up there except my room and a small landing, and I just knew no one else was in the house. I jumped up and went straight to the door. It was locked. I stood there in the dark, just staring at it, listening. The footsteps didn't stop. Footsteps did not stop. They paced up and down right outside, back and forth, back and forth. I could hear something else too, like fabric brushing along the wall as it moved. Not rushed, just not random, just walking. There was no lights on, no voices, just that. It went on for a couple minutes, then suddenly stopped. The silence afterwards felt worse. I called my boyfriend straight away, whispering that I thought someone had broke in. We tried to make sense of it. Maybe it was the neighbors, maybe it was somebody with a key, but nothing really added up. Then when I was on the phone, it started again, louder this time, loud enough he could hear it too. Then when I called the police, that's when I called the police. They arrived within 10 minutes and asked me to come downstairs to let them in. I didn't want to leave the room. I was convinced somebody was out there, but stayed put somehow felt worse. So I went. I had my laptop open with my boyfriend still on the call as I stepped out and started down the stairs. Everything was quiet, too quiet. And then halfway down, as I lifted my foot to the step, I felt something pull my leg. Not a slip, not a misstep, a pull. Sharp and sudden, right at my foot. Right as my foot was in the air, I went down hard, falling several steps onto my back. The pain was instant, but the shock was worse. My boyfriend heard everything through my call. I still told him I just tripped. I got up somehow and let the police in. They searched the entire house, every room, every cupboard, even the cellar. Ooh, a cellar. No one was there. Not a sign of forced entry, nothing out of place. I explained the noises and my boyfriend heard them too. The officer was kind and said that it could be the neighbors. Old terrace houses carry sounds and strange noises. He mentioned that they get calls sometimes. So this is common for these houses. She said I nodded along, but I didn't tell him about the stairs. I had never fallen like that before or since. I didn't feel like losing my balance. It felt like something timed it perfectly, like it was waiting until my foot couldn't catch me. I later found out I fractured my tailbone. It still hasn't fully healed. After that night, the voices came back. Not every night, just enough. Enough that it'd wake me up and I'd lie there completely still listening, just too scared to move until they stopped. I left for Easter not long after and did not come back until my housemates returned. I never told them what happened. I didn't want them to think I'd lost it or worse, to make them feel the way I had about the house. I've always been a rational person. I don't jump to paranormal experience, but I've never been able to explain any of this, and I can't shake the feeling that whatever was in the house noticed me noticing it.
Oh.
It was a long one, but a good one.
Yeah, but that's creepy. So you have that feeling where
being stalked.
Yeah, but not just that, but like in your head you're realizing, okay, my roommates aren't here, and then the voices stop.
Well, yeah, because most people always want to rationalize it as something else.
Right, but
and you live with two other people, so you're just going.
At that moment, though, when you're in your head,
clicks.
Yeah, but when you're in your head and you're like, okay, my roommates aren't here, it clicks, but coincidentally it coincides with the voices stopping at the same time.
Like as soon as it clicked in her brain, like they were like, oh, she noticed us. Like it's not a residual haunting.
Right.
It's an intellectual.
Like this is where I say I want to know, like, okay, quantum physics, the many worlds theory suggests that your energy, your consciousness, just goes into like an alternate version of you, into an alternate timeline. However, if that's the case, I mean, does it not happen for everyone? And I know these are just theories, but like, so the hauntings though, how do you explain that? How do you explain the multitude of people who have personal experiences, you, me, and many other strangers that experience, you know, noises, apparitions, and things of that? Like, how do you explain that away?
You can't. I just don't understand people that don't believe, or like they say they don't believe. Like, how do you not? There's so many experiences. There's so many like video footages. There's even audio like of unexplained voices and stuff. I don't know.
But then that goes to say like, okay, and like I said, we'll never know until it's our time. Like, what is on the other side for sure? Is it the quantum physics theory, the many worlds theory? Is it a world like this where we just don't have to go to work, but it's like this, like things you remember, things you were fond of in life until you do reincarnate or you do transition your consciousness? Is it like a limbo?
I don't know. Well, yeah, because like, do they see just this, or is it, and like you said, an alternate world that's still like this, but it's not this? Like the in between type thing. I don't know. That's
is there like a waiting room like on Beetlejuice where you're sitting in there and just waiting?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because also you got to think too, not just the paranormal. I think, you know, people who have like near-death experiences and some of their stories can correlate or tie into stories of the paranormal.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird. Like,
there's so much we don't know.
Yes. So like, and I know for the sake of this, it's going to sound like I'm a weirdo, but and I kind of am, but not like that. Like, when I was 11 years old, I had a near-death experience. We had the unfortunate case to where my parents let a so-called family member babysit us. She took us to the beach when the brick wall was first put out, like just recently. Well, not obviously recently, but then recently. So she asked if we wanted to go swimming. My brother didn't know how to swim. He was really little, but he liked going to the beach. He liked playing in the sand, building sand castles, like kids usually do. And I said, yeah, teach me how to swim. That'd be fun. She says, okay. And my brother was never really scared of water, like ever as a kid. Never really scared of too much of anything. But that day, he was scared. Like, so scared. Like, he kept using his nickname for me and saying, don't go, don't go, don't go. But I was like, oh, it'll be okay, it'll be okay.
So he sensed it.
So he sensed something.
He sensed something happening.
Yes. So I go out there with this said family member, and she walks me out to where I can barely touch. I'm tiptoeing at this point, and I tell her, Auntie, I can't reach. Oh, it's okay. There's a little dip, and then there's a step where I'm at. Take one step further. Give me your hands. So as I went to reach for her hands and take a step, trusting in this person, believing this is my aunt, she's not going to harm us.
Yeah.
I specifically recall her hands on my shoulders. And I remember just trying to like push up, but I can't reach. I have no bearings. Like I'm flailing under the water. I recall that. I recall seeing like little fish because the water was a lake. So it wasn't like this crystal clear water, lake water. If you know lake water, it's murky at best. So I'm flailing under the water and then I black out. Now I can tell you what I recall, but it's gonna sound absolutely bonkers. Because even for me, it's hard for me to go, okay, was that real? Because when I blacked out, I recall a woman and a man telling me, it's okay, honey, come with us. It's not your time yet. And when I was there, I was in a space. White walls, white chairs. And like you know how you go to the doctor's office and there's like a reception area with like a glass?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but it was all white. I didn't see anyone, I just heard them.
That's so creepy. This is all scary.
So, I remember her saying, take my hand. Not the aunt, the woman, when I'm in this white liminal space, I guess, if you will. And I must have, because when I woke, I was laying face down in the sand in front of my little brother, spitting up and coughing out water. And when I could finally get my voice, where I stopped coughing, my throat felt like it was on fire.
Yeah.
I was standing, well, not standing there, I was sitting in front of my brother, and I asked him, how did I get here? He used his nickname for me and said, you swam. I have zero recollection of swimming. The only thing I remember is what I just stated. No recollection of swimming at all, period. It went from that liminal space to opening my eyes and being put on the sand right in front of my younger brother. And I was face down, coughing up water.
That's creepy. Well, first of all, screw your aunt.
Right.
First of all, that's crazy. Second of all, blacking out and then ending up on the beach and your brother telling you swam when you don't know how to swim?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that totally freaked me out. I kept saying, no, I didn't. He kept saying, yes, you did.
That's so creepy.
And then when I got on the sand and I turned around to look for said aunt, she was way off in the distance in the water with her boyfriend. Making out.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why she wanted to go to the beach.
Yeah. But
you have a near-death experience and then here she is.
Just making out with her boyfriend in the water down the off a ways. Yeah.
I've never had a near-death experience, thank God. But
it is the freakiest thing. But
I'm sure.
There's a lot of people who say too that if you have near-death experiences, it makes you more open to seeing or hearing or experiencing paranormal experiences.
Yeah. Because of that, yeah.
Yeah, because you were on the other side at one point.
For a second.
Yeah.
That's so creepy.
Isn't that? I hardly tell anybody that story, and I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, TF, I don't care anymore. However, like that was still something for me, even to like I said right now, I know it sounds bonkers because to me it sounds bonkers.
Yeah.
I can imagine hearing that as a stranger being like, wow, what the?
Well, yeah, but nobody, you can't say that it didn't happen because you haven't been through it. I mean, like I haven't been through, so
right.
How can anybody say?
Even for me, like to rationalize what had happened to me, like it freaks me out because I'm like, I know I didn't swim. I remember blacking out, hearing those voices, seeing this liminal space. It was very like sterile,
Yeah.
if you will. You know what I mean? Like,
I can imagine.
yeah, and it was like I felt calm. I wasn't scared. Like I was like all of my emotions like left, because when I was in the water, I was thinking, what's going to happen to my brother? You know, my mom, my dad, what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
You know, gone.
Yeah.
And then waking up in this liminal space, no longer
All
feeling
comfort.
any of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just feeling like a feeling of everything's going to be okay.
That's a little freaky.
Isn't that?
Yeah, because what if you didn't follow those people?
Right. Like I said, it was a woman and a man, and they said, it's not your time yet.
What if you were like, no, but don't talk to strangers. My mom told me not to talk to strangers and didn't go. That's crazy.
And like I said, I couldn't see them. With something like that, that's, you know, totally creepy. No explanation. Even to me, it's hard for me to rationalize.
I couldn't imagine going through that.
It's crazy.
Yes.
But if you have any paranormal experiences and would love to share them with us, if you want to remain anonymous, that's fine too. We can keep your name out and share your story. If you have any paranormal things that you would like for us to explore, please, we're all ears. We'd love to go out and check this out. We would love to see proof for ourselves.
Yeah, if you have any proof, send it in. I would love to hear your stories.
Yes. Do you have an EVP? A picture? Something of that nature that you would love to share? We'd love to see it and share it with our viewers or our listeners. You can send it to us on any of our socials or on our email on downtherabbitholepc@gmail.com. And always, thanks for watching.
See you guys next week.
Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.